Okay, one of the biggest questions that comes up is when you relinquish your U.S. citizenship, do you still get Social Security? And there are other groups of people too that people wonder about. Are these people going to get Social Security benefits? And also, I'm going to be talking about the massive fraud that's going on with Social Security now, and things that you never ever hear about. That when you're coming up to apply for Social Security, some things that you need to take note of. If you don't, you could lose a fortune over your lifetime. Anyway, there's some important points to know as far as who's going to get Social Security benefits. Okay, the four parties I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to go really outside of this, is people that are non-immigrant people that come to the U.S. like on E-2 treaties. Then you got green card holders, and you got citizens of the U.S., and then you got former citizens of the U.S. that relinquish their U.S. citizenship. Now, all four of these categories of people, whether they've left the U.S. or not, and given up their green card, relinquished their citizenship, kept their citizenship, or are still working as non-immigrant visas through, let's say, an E-2 treaty with a country that has an E-2 treaty with the U.S., if they paid in 40 quarters, they still qualify for Social Security benefits, okay? And this is something that a lot of people wonder, when you relinquish, do you give up that part? You don't. I mean, whether you relinquish or you're a green card holder, it doesn't make any difference. They look at the payment that you've paid in that. Now, right now, 85% of Social Security benefits are taxed, which comes out to just around 20% roughly of the taxation that's going to come out. That's the dollars that's going to come out of your Social Security. And if you're living outside the U.S. and you've relinquished your U.S. citizenship, you're not filing a tax return. If you're no longer a U.S. citizen, you're no longer living in the U.S. So what they're going to do is they're going to actually have a withholding tax. They're going to take that 20, it's a little bit more than 20%. They're going to take out of your total amount. Now, the 85% is the amount, the portion of the Social Security that's taxable. Now, and then of course, 20% is the withholding tax. And that's 20% of the total amount that you're getting from Social Security that's coming out in that tax. Now, if Trump gets elected, he's promised to actually alleviate the Social Security tax. So let's see if that happens, because that's coming up here pretty soon. Now, let me just tell you some problems that you're going to, I'm hoping that DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, is going to change this, because there's a lot of massive fraud going on in the U.S. and outside the U.S. With Social Security. Now, let me give you an example right here. I applied for Social Security back in when I was 62 years old, to give you an example. Actually, it was a little bit before 62, because I was going to apply to get Social Security benefits starting at the age of 62, which was the earliest that you could start at that time. And there's something that you'll pull up on the internet called the mine shaft. And I didn't understand, but I filled out all my paperwork back in when I was 61 and a half. And I couldn't get Social Security to return any of my phone calls or emails. I got good reception, except until I got to the point where I was going to get benefits and I needed to contact a particular party in Baltimore. Now that office is out of Dominican Republic. But they would not return any emails, phone calls, or anything. Didn't understand why they wouldn't. Well, with this Department of Government Efficiency that's come out, which is DOGE, they explained to me exactly what happened with that. And I'll tell you what that is. Social Security, you can pull this up. They've got what's called a mine shaft. Their bookkeeping is going back to the way they used to keep books in the 1950s. They still haven't changed. In fact, I still get mail from Social Security. How many of y'all still get mail? Social Security is the only entity out there that still I get mail from. And we're talking about the regular mailbox. This is where they're sending stuff. It's incredible. It's like a dinosaur. And their bookkeeping and everything else is a mess. But the reason I tell you this is I actually got caught in that mine shaft. And finding out, just checking this the other day, Social Security can only handle about 10,000 people a month, okay? So if you don't get in that 10,000, you basically get put off and put off and put off and put off. And what happened was I finally just gave up. I couldn't get anybody on the phone. in that department. Every time I called back to Social Security that actually helped me get started, they threw me back at this department, and nobody would return my phone calls, emails, nothing. It was a basket case. So I'm going to move forwards from 61 and a half to now it's 66 and a half, getting ready to apply for benefits starting at 67. Now, what happened here was it took me probably, maybe I would say close to, it was probably around 6 months to where I started getting anything back. And it was really a mess at that point. The office, in which I'm going to tell you more about here, which I think, I'm not saying it for sure, but I know that there's fraud on my case. But as far as massive fraud, I don't know about that yet. They're investigating that right now because I filed a complaint with the fraud unit with Social Security, and I've contacted DOGE, and they've actually gotten back with me. But I'm going to just tell you what happened. Initially, and you better check this, this is one of the most important things I'm going to tell you here, is when you apply for Social Security the first time, and they'll actually send you something that will let you know that this is going to be your actual benefit amount, okay? And you'll get this, usually you'll get that all the way up until about the time that they're going to say it's about what you're going to get, okay? And what happened was when mine came up, the benefit was a lot lower than that. And you've got exactly about 3 months, which is 90 days, to contest that. And if you don't contest it in that 90-day period, it's very, very difficult to go back in and appeal what you're getting from Social Security. In other words, you're going to be locked in that figure for the rest of your life, except for COLA increases, for cost of living. So you're pretty much stuck in that. And you'd be surprised how many people think Social Security is going to be correct. And they don't really check those figures out, which is a huge mistake. I actually appealed it. I went through and appealed it 2 or 3 times. And finally, it got up to a judge. And the judge never, I guess they're so booked up, I don't know. I never got to talk to the judge. But I think it was either 2 or 3 increases to what I would have been paid. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This was like over 6 to 7 months, maybe even a year. I fought this. Literally, it's a fight. You have it with Social Security. And they raised it up. I'm not going to go through the whole story because it's too intensive. But they raised it up 3 different times. I could not believe the paperwork and the mess up in Social Security. They were putting in things that had nothing to do with me. And so I had to go in and show them and contest it. And you have to file out these appeal papers. It's almost like a part-time job doing it. But you'd be surprised how many people will look at these figures. They won't even say anything. They just figure Social Security is correct. And they'll just take that payment, and they could be losing thousands and thousands of dollars for the rest of your life on this. So this is something you really need to know about, because if you don't know this and you basically accept it, you're stuck with that payment for the rest of your life. And you got to understand about this mine shaft. This mine shaft, if you get caught in that, it's like a labyrinth. And the problem is they'll keep throwing you back to the same department that won't return your emails, and you can't get through their phone lines. And it is a mess. And then I got through this. I had to go through all this appeal processes. And basically what happened too was when you apply for Social Security, they give you the past 6 months up front. Now, that's what they did for me, and I assume they haven't changed that. And they actually gave me the wrong amount because it was a whole lot less because I was still appealing all this crap. It took them about a year to finally sort through and get the correct amount, and they still didn't get it totally correct because at the very beginning, there were 2 checks that were written out before there was an automatic, after the 2 checks, because I had to have time enough to set up the automatic transfers to my bank account. What happened was there were 2 checks. So 1 check I got, the other one I didn't get. Man, I went through a whole, well, let's just put it this way. We're at the 3-year mark now, okay, of applying for Social Security. That check still has not come in, okay? And I'll tell you what happened. The office that I deal with is in the Dominican Republic, Okay, it's the federal benefits units of benefit unit of the Social Security Department, which is in the U.S. Embassy in the DR, which is the Dominican Republic. Since from day one, over a 3-year period, I've never, ever been able to get through that phone line. And every time I go through the U.S. office, they throw me back the other one. They can't help me. It's like a labyrinth, man. And 50% of the time, I can't even get through the U.S. number. And it's a real mess. And it wasn't until I actually brought up the fact about this check I never got that the Social Security unit in the Dominican Republic, because I couldn't call them on the phone, was able to email them once everything was set up. But once I mentioned this check, everything stopped. They would not return my email. This is going back almost 2 years ago. Okay. They won't return any emails. You can't get their phone lines. I finally got the office in the U.S., which said they can't really help me on my case other than they did order the check. And it took me probably 6 months ago. I finally got hold of a supervisor in the U.S. and found out that check had been in Social Security's office for 2 years in the U.S. And they didn't even know where it was. So a supervisor found it because they had to order a copy of the check to see, who endorsed on the back of it, because I never got the check. And they saw a guy by the name of Jimmy Gonzalez. Well, Jimmy Gonzalez is a Spanish name. So I'm thinking this is scamming and fraud through that Social Security office. Someone in that office, I can't say that for sure. It's a legend. I'm alleging that's what happened because no one in that office is even returning my phone calls. Okay. And now I've got Doge. I call Doge. They're getting back with me on this too. And there's a fraud case. They're investigating on that check. And probably if they did it for me, that they've probably done it to tens of thousands of other people too. See, they did it on the very beginning, on those beginning checks, and they figured that I wouldn't pick up on it. Incredibly stupid. That I guess there's a lot of people that don't check their payments. And just like I mentioned to you before, they were trying to pay me a whole lot less than what I was supposed to get. And then I had fraud on that check. I'm going to tell you something. When you get to Social Security, unless Trump really straightens it up, and I think he will with this Doge program, do not trust the payments you're getting. Okay, you better know what you're doing when these checks are sent out. You better know how to figure up your benefits, what you're paying for, and what they're taking out. Okay, if you don't, you can get really ultimately screwed on Social Security. It really is a basket case, and I tell people that this check that's got, that someone endorsed, this really made me realize that how much fraud that's going on. And it's just, it is a friggin' mess that's going on there. But again, like I said, that phone number at the Federal Benefits Unit office in the DR, which is the Social Security office there, I've never been able to get through that phone line. It's just amazing that no one will pick up the phone. But anyway, I wanted to go over some other things with you too. And also, folks, if you can do us a big favor, we don't monetize our channel, so it would help us out a lot on the algorithm if you can hit the subscribe button on the right of your screen, and also give us a thumbs up if you like our videos. It will help get more videos out to more people. And I would like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, put it below. And again, if you want to learn how to get your income taxes to zero legally, or how to get a second passport as quick as 4 to 8 months, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and just ask for some help. Now, this fraud that's on my check shows the actual. I've got the date on it and the amount, but Social Security, even though the fraud unit's not even returning my calls. That's why I contacted Doge on this. But one reason I'm doing this video is if you've got a problem with Social Security, this is not happening just to me. It's all over the place. I would contact Doge yourself. You can go to X, which used to be Twitter, and you can make your contacts on there. You can also file a fraud complaint with Social Security, but I'm going to tell you something. I filed mine and heard nothing from them. This was about 6 months ago, and it's very difficult to get through that phone line. I'll give you the phone line. You can actually call and check it. It's 1-800-269-0271. And you can also, their email address is oig.ssa.gov. And again, that's O as in October, ig.ssa.gov. If you've had problems with Social Security, get it started, or you've had fraud on your account and you can't get through the phone lines. No phone lines. Nobody will return your emails. I'm hoping that Trump will go in there and hand out pink slips to almost everybody like he did the VA administration. And I think he can straighten this thing out, but it is a friggin' mess. But one reason I'm doing this video is to tell you that you need to basically check over before you sign anything for Social Security. And whatever you do, don't let it go out 90 days before you make that complaint if you think there's something wrong, because if you go by that initial 90-day period, and they could change it. I'm just telling you what it was when I was in there doing it, is if you let it go past that 90-day period, you could lose all future payments on that increase that you were supposed to get, but you didn't say anything. You didn't do anything about it, okay? So it's real important that you actually follow up on that and don't just depend on Social Security. I'm going to tell you something. Everything they've done with me has been wrong, okay? So, and I know I'm not the only one. So if you really want to check on this to make sure that you're getting things done correctly, like I say, is I would tell you to check your figures there real good. Otherwise, you could be really pissed off over this for the rest of your life, getting a lot lower benefit than what you should be getting. How bad is it? Well, I just read, I actually saw on Fox and I read on their YouTube videos that 18.9 million dead people are getting Social Security that were born before 1920. Now, that's making people at least 105 years old or older. That's 18.9 million people. I'm going to tell you something. If you go on the internet, you will find maybe 5 people in the world that are probably between 110 and up. You won't go more than 10 people, I can tell you. I'm not talking about the U.S. We're talking about in Social Security. We're talking about basically most of those in the U.S. We're talking about the world. And you will only find about 5 people that are actually getting that are that age or higher. I'm talking about 110, 112 years old. I think there's one person in the world now that's 112 years old. So where are they getting this 18.9 million people? Well, I can tell you what's happening. Someone just explained to you how this works. When you get Social Security, there's a form that you have to fill out every year. It basically confirms your address, and then you have to sign it. Your name has to go there, okay? You can put an X, but what happens is you'll have to, someone has to notarize the form if you do that. If you can't, read and write, you have to put an X for your name. Now, so how do these people continue to get benefits after all these people have died? Well, all they're doing is someone probably it's in their family or someone close to them is taking that form and they're just signing it, okay? You actually don't have to get it notarized or anything. If it's the same name of the person supposed to get Social Security. And, the problem with this is when you got so many people like this and Social Security doesn't have the time to go back to find out, these people are they're definitely dead. I mean, but who in the hell is signing the forms? And I think they're going to be in big trouble from this, because when you go and you sign these forms, that's fraud, man. The government can go back and collect. They can put a lien on your house. I mean, this is the problem that you have. I'm going to tell you the difference with just while I'm at it here, the difference in Social Security in the U.S. versus St. Kitts. I don't get Social Security benefits in St. Kitts, but I do have to call them on certain things, on different questions and stuff that I've got, but I only get it in the U.S., but this is the thing right here. Every time I call St. Kitts' Social Security number, somebody picks the friggin' phone up. It only rings maybe 3 times. I don't. And the thing is, I've sent emails before there. I get emails back. with the U.S., you got to, if you can even get through on the phone, you're on the phone for maybe 30 or 40 minutes. And you're lucky if you do that. A lot of times it clicks off because they're so backed up on phone calls. It is a friggin' mess. But the reason I'm doing this video, folks, if you've got fraud and it's going on there, contact Doge. If you can't find a contact other than what I've given you here, going on X, if I can get more information on, I don't actually have a phone call or email address for them. If you got that, let me know. Now, I've got certain departments that are outside of Doge that are congressmen that are handling it, but they only handle things that are in the U.S., and you got to be in their district for that to happen. But anyway, if you want to know more on this, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com. Be glad to try to help you out on this. And also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button at the right of the screen here if you want new videos automatically. And again, help us out in the algorithm of our channel and give us a thumbs up if you like our videos. And I look forward to talking to you on the next video. Take care.